Hello, everyone. It's been a week in which the Queen came back from the dead to show the great British work ethic is as strong as ever, but everyone was actually working hard for a fake company or watching planes land on Big Jet TV. Welcome to the Lager and Ideology podcast, everyone. And we're not drinking lager, Ruben, are we?
No, today is... Why are we doing this? I don't know. We're just doing it for the novelty. I mean, I guess we could say Russia are in the news, so we're having vodka.
Oh yeah, it's the Russian. We're pro Russia at the moment. No,
we're
not our angle.
We're not pro Russia, but we're not. Are we anti Russia?
No,
are we anti Russia?
We're not focusing on. Yeah, we're not. We're anti Russia and anti Russia.
Yeah. You can hold two positions simultaneously. There's definitely some philosopher that said something about simultaneously holding. Yeah, it's actually something that Mark Fisher writes about in Capitalist Realism. I think he writes about simultaneously being in two positions or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, there's a whole tradition of like that kind of and it's important that you can do that. And also, the people who, because that's it. I mean, Russia are bad, but the people who keep saying Russia are bad. So it's all bad.
Pretty bad. Speaking of bad,
and we
Michael Jackson's bad. Michael, as in his bad. Michael Jackson's, as in bad. His bad.
Yeah, you mean like Michael Jackson *S. Bad.
Yeah,
that I can go for. Yeah, but we won't be talking about Michael Jackson this week. You guys are going to have to wait even longer, and we're certainly not going to be talking about Russia because that'd be boring. What we are going to be talking about while we have I'm having actually vodka and dandelion and burdock.
That sounds fucking awful.
Am I the only person who's ever? This is the first time I've had it, but this was I don't know. I was going to have Coke, but I don't like vodka and Coke, so I thought I'll just try this.
Well, I'm having vodka and Fanta Mango, which is a new arrival to Norway. Good.
I've also got ginger ale, which I thought I might.
Oh, it's actually really good.
Well, in the second half,
the mango-y flavor really covers the vodka.
That's good. Yeah. Right then, what we will be talking about for our first vodka, I feel like these are going to be too easy to drink. That's the issue. We're going to start with the Queen, who had COVID, but the Queen and other conspiracies, really, because people's reaction to the Queen having COVID was that some people's reaction was that she's dead. And there is a conspiracy theory, which obviously is one of our... I mean, do you think she's dead?
Yeah, she's dead.
My sister thinks she's dead. Do you actually think she's dead?
I don't know. I'm sort of indifferent. Irrespective of what I think, either way, I wouldn't really be that shocked. If she's actually alive, I'd be like, yeah, of course she is. And if she was dead, I'd be like, wow, right. I suppose the royal family would hide it, wouldn't they?
Well, yeah, I agree with that. And I was on the fence. My sister thinks she's dead too. And some of the memes have been pretty good. But I suppose my first reaction to this was, why would they? Why would they delay it? Like, if she was dead, like, what would be in it for them?
I don't know. What reason would there be? I mean,
but I thought of one.
Okay.
I think they might think there's been a lot of pressure on the royal family to collapse. It's in the public eye, isn't it? People have been saying, will this Queen be the last? It's what with Harry and Meghan sodding off, Prince Andrew doing all the kids and all that. So I wonder whether, they just feel right at this particular moment, if the Queen died in the middle of this Harry and Meghan and Prince Andrew being a pedo thing, that just might spell the end. So as part of a strategy for like keeping the royal family going, they'd rather that happened later when they'd already ridden the crest of that wave of frustration around those two things that look like the royal family were breaking up.
Yeah, but they still got what's his name? Got Charles. Got the other prince.
Yeah, and you've obviously got two. Yeah, what's that, William? You've got competing factions, because I was in Sainsbury's today, and I saw Hello magazine. The cover of Hello magazine was Camilla Parker Bowles, and the headline was "Your New Queen." So like clearly there are factions, because she would be queen, wouldn't she, if Charles was king, just by sort of default. Clearly there are people who
is that how that works though? Because what about like Prince Philip? He wasn't made king, he was just Prince Philip.
Well, that's one of the odd history of misogyny things, that you're a queen if you marry a king, but you're a prince if you marry a queen. It's annoying, isn't it?
Of course.
If that was if you could be king by marrying a queen, do you think you'd have a go? Like, you'd be interested. Like, if you met a princess or something, you'd be like, well, yeah, that's appealing, because I would be like, king. If, but so like Meghan Markle, who's Prince Harry's bird? Who's Prince Harry?
Meghan Markle.
I mean Williams.
Oh, Kate Middleton.
Yeah, Kate Middleton obviously like the idea of being queen. Like, as part of the attraction to William was like, I could ultimately be queen here.
Yeah, he's not like a bad looking bloke or anything. He's probably a bit of a nice guy. Probably likes a pint, normal stuff.
He looks boring. He
does look boring, yeah.
I think Harry's the more interesting, but then I don't like them either.
Yeah, I don't care.
Sodom. I thought what was bad about that part of the media coverage, if this is our royal family segment, I suppose we might as well cover it all.
I suppose so.
Was that people thought that it was really brave of them to go on Oprah and slag off the royal family. But it's nonsense. It's bullshit. They got so much money. They're so wealthy. There's no reason to see this as radical. And also, Oprah, the most like neoliberal establishment person you can think of, like, who, by the way, did a good job of interviewing Michael Jackson in 1993, but since then has basically been, she's had Obama on. It's just nonsense. It's not a radical thing to do, like saying, and they live off the proceeds of their princeness in the states where they're idolized. Like, there's no sides to pick. These are both bad sides, I suppose.
Well, it's sort of like what I was saying. I don't know. I actually don't know if I said this last week, but I have said it in the last week. People getting involved in the Kanye thing and whose side they're on, and looking at the different people that are taking Kanye's side and people that are taking not his side. And I mean, I think it's a much more complex thing than just Kanye's divorce proceedings, but like it's just really wealthy people bickering publicly, and the media doing what it does, which is behave parasitically and keep these battles going, which help it to exist. So I just think it's a ridiculous thing to do, to actually get involved in taking a side. So to think, that's really brave that they went on Oprah, or God, he's such a fucker, to get really invested in thinking, he's just a cunt, and to do that to his mum, like, or to the legacy of his mum, or to the Queen, or some shit. People that get like that about it are possibly even worse for me. Actually, they're even worse.
Agreed. Well, I agree with that as well, and I think on this as well, the Queen thing. I mean, the thing about her getting COVID was also the same group type of person who says what you just said. That person who just said, what you doing that to the Queen or your mum? Mm-hmm. She was on the front page of the Daily Mail. Queen's got COVID, but she's still working. Apparently she's still working. She's working through COVID because she's got that great British strength. She doesn't stop working for no man. And this is, that's exactly what the Queen is. This is exactly the sort of person who says that stuff. Like, they think the royal family symbolize in some way British, in a way that is just so archaic now to people like of our age or way of thinking.
But there are still lots of people our age that do think that way. There are people who are younger than you but older than me who think that way. They sort of speak that way. Well, they're between us in age, like between us in age.
Our age was a bit generous to myself.
Well, I suppose there is that. Who actually do still think that way about the royal family. They get quite passionate about about it.
Obviously
and what they think it represents. But it's strange how the royal family has managed to position itself, and particularly the Queen now, or how the royal family as an institution has positioned the Queen as the country's grandma. Because people in this country, in England, are very peculiar when it comes to respecting your elders and what they think family represents and what that is. And it's this weird, really stifled way of respecting your elders. Even when they're even when it's, I don't know, it's all just quite stifled and strange sometimes. In a certain,
it is weird. It's weird. Yeah. It is weird, and I think I mean, I don't think there's much to be said about the royal family in general that is new or interesting. You know, it's been said, but I definitely, and to go back to this conspiracy theory, you know, that there is a sort of chance, isn't there? I mean, and I think this will be a theme of this week's episode anyway, because lots of what we're talking about is this. But you know, people will believe she's dead, and we're being lied. The fact that people will believe quite easily, and I agree with you, it's quite plausible. It just shows how little trust there is in like what you're actually seeing at basically every level. Like it's just as likely that, you know, okay, my point is this: it's not likely that she's got COVID and she's working hard for the country, and it's not likely that she's dead and they're pretending she's still alive. But they're equal kinds of bullshit. Like people do not know what to believe. There's no sense in which you're being told the truth. So those things seem equally likely. The front page of the Daily Mail and the front page of a conspiracy theory meme site are basically saying the same sort of truth to me.
I'm still not convinced Boris Johnson had COVID. I'm not convinced that anyone high profile who has reportedly had COVID has actually had COVID. I'm not convinced. And why should I be?
Yeah, no. I mean, obviously, why should you?
I don't know, but then it's like what I said at the start, where either way, what fucking difference would it make whether I thought that? It's such a waste of a thought to question something like that. I think.
Agreed. But on conspiracy theories, which isn't a waste of a thought, but a good and important topic, there were other conspiracy theory news this week. I saw that like these bunch of the New York Times reported, this is a QAnon thing. I'm quite interested in QAnon. I'm not like as anti-QAnon as other people might be. New York Times reported a bizarre story. Basically, these linguists who are, oh man, like you said, I've read the article once, and now I've been paywalled by these bunkers.
New York Times.
Anyway, don't be reading the New York Times. I had a couple free ones, I guess. Yeah, I had a couple free article reads, so I read this article anyway. But in any case, basically, it's like people that use forensic, what do they call that? Study of forensic language. You know, in like serial killer shows, when they do like, you know, not like checking the handwriting, but like how do they spell certain words? Like, do they spell it while or whilst? Or do they spell it like, you know, different English or Canadian spelling, whatever, different kinds of nuances that people have. So they use that kind of strategy based, like forensic language.
This is really interesting. An American far-right political conspiracy theory and mass political movement. It is centered on false claims made by an anonymous individual or individuals known as Q that a cabal of satanic, cannibalistic sexual abusers of children operate a global child sex trafficking ring that conspired against former US President Donald Trump during his term in office. Now, I think it's unfair to call it a far-right political conspiracy theory, because then it suggests, because far-right has a huge stigma attached to it now, as does far-left, and then it goes on to say things that are like, well, if that was the truth, then they'd be doing a good thing, wouldn't they? Like,
yeah, but the way that's
Wikipedia. That's Wikipedia.
What made me laugh there was the way that first it was like using this hyperbolic language to describe QAnon people, saying like the far right conspiracy theorist this, and then the second half of the sentence was like claimed that the other group were a cabal of pedophiles. You know, it's like,
and it's like, so wait, so language, QAnon are like, no matter how you look at, are QAnon the heroes in this story? There, are they the heroes?
I mean, it's more just like that as just a collection of explosive words with no meaning. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that again, I mean, this QAnon is another example for me of, you know, and there are brilliant podcasts. One of my good friends, Julian, he does a podcast called QAnon Anonymous. It's like really famous one. It's the second. There's an even more famous one, but anyway, there's millions of podcasts discussing this, so we're not going to like say any insights. But like, yeah, the point about QAnon is that like this kind of like digging for the truth is at least anti-mainstream and anti the kind of media outlets that like the New York Times.
I know how they managed to. This is how they attack them and say they're anti-Semitic. That's how they do it. That's how QAnon. That's one of the main ways in America. If you're seen to be even, if you're anti-Semitic in America, that is game over for you. If you even appear to be, if you say anything, it's over for you.
I mean, and then when I had a QAnon guest on my a previous podcast, somebody said to me, hopefully it's an anti-QAnon guest, as if having somebody who was pro-QAnon would have been basically cancelable act.
That's interesting, because I saw a ridiculous headline from, I don't know, The Independent or something, regarding somebody that went on Joe Rogan's podcast who was a climate scientist, and he was questioned on why he went on something that's so climate skeptic, and his quotes were, "It was a lapse in judgment." And I just fucking grow up, grow a pair of balls, you fucking pussy.
Yeah,
what's wrong with going on the thing to he's going on there to preach his. It's just so like, no, you can't engage with them. No, you can't do that. How does anything change?
Well, you're getting us onto a bigger topic there. But this is, this I suppose was, part of that Joe Rogan conversation. But this whole idea of platforming and the question of platforming versus kind of arguing with those people or engaging with is extremely interesting and important. And that is certainly a topic to kind of pick up. How's that vodka going down? I feel like
it's going down great.
Yeah, I need to finish. And how about the time? How long have we done on this?
Well, I only put the timer on 6 minutes ago. So
what time you got? It could be any.
We could be anywhere. I think we're either a bit over or a bit under right now.
We're closer. We're around the time.
Yeah.
So I know. Concluding thoughts about this would be that, well, actually, it bleeds into the next topic, but concluding thoughts from me, I think
Morrissey was right in the 1980s with The Queen is Dead. The Queen has been dead since the release of The Queen is Dead. And we're silly for even thinking that she died recently. She actually died sort of 40 years ago, or 30. I don't know when that album came out. Was it the late 80s?
It's true that she hasn't been seen in public for a few years. And we've all seen those deep fake Obama ones. Could be the Queen's. She's only appeared on video in the last 3 or 4 years, so could be dead. And so what she is, and basically the conspiracy theories are saying precisely the same amount of true things as the New York Times and other mainstream media.
Yeah, so it's pretty fun just to sort of engage in all of it and have a funny old time, I guess. I actually think my real closing remark is
that was my real one.
No, my real closing remark, because I already closed, but my real closing remark about the Queen being dead is it's probably just because when the Queen dies, Britain goes into a period of mourning and everything closes, and that would be bad for the economy. This will be terrible for the economy. We can't close everything. The Queen's dead. Oh, fuck. So they're just going to delay it until, I don't know, inflation's been sorted out a little bit.
That's a good point. But don't you, I wouldn't put it past these people to turn the death of the Queen into a sort of national spend money moment. We should all be celebrating her bloody life. This is still part of the recording, Ruben.
Yeah, I know.
I can't just say that bit off. Definitely. Anyway, there must be a way to monetize the death of the Queen. That's what we should be thinking about. Or maybe there is something we haven't said and should have done, that the Queen dying in that Morrissey way could that literally be a spark for revolution? People might actually suddenly revolt and say, look, the Queen's gone, the government's screwed, let's take to the streets and overthrow this bullshit capitalism.
That might be it. And it's all her plan. And she said that before she died. Turns out she was actually a huge Marxist. And, the reason they're delaying to announce her death is because she's got like contingency plans in place. And if she does officially die, then things will happen. It'll be like vendetta, like Parliament will explode.
That's right. She's already mailed a video in the post to I don't know what the left-wing media outlet of today is, because the Guardian's so bad. She sent Jacobin a video of her sort of admitting to being a Marxist, and the day she dies, it all comes out.
All right, and anyway, now we're moving on, because that's enough of that shit.
No, that's it. We've had enough of that. We're pouring another vodka, and we're moving on to the second topic, which is yours to introduce, I think.
It's the article. The fuck. So here we are. I'm just pouring my second drink of.
I'll do it. I'm quite knowledgeable about this now.
It was a good subject, though. I did read the whole article. Normally I skim, but I actually read every word of this one.
I sent it to you and said, let's talk about it. But then after that, today I had a student didn't turn up to a thing I was doing. And So I watched a whole documentary about it. Actually, it's pretty good. I would recommend it. It's called like I don't know. It's on a national a national British television platform that we don't like, and thus won't name.
I won't point any fingers, but it's the opposite of small white penis. You know what I mean? If it's the acronym of that, or small white pussy, maybe. I suppose that would be the opposite, wouldn't it? Yeah. Oh, you know what I mean, though, based on that.
No, I was working out whether that was the right.
Yeah, but everyone knows what I mean, though. That's fine. But you don't.
Yeah, but just no, we shouldn't carry on because I wonder whether that. No, that's a post. Let's pick that up in the Patreon. If people want to hear more about whether I think small white pussy is the correct opposite.
Yeah. Getting vulgar.
We can come to the Patreon. And we're also playing a new game in the Patreon, guys. So join it for £2 and hear us in our 5th vodka. But for now, we're going to this topic of these people, this guy who set up a fake company, a digital media company called Mad Bird, I think.
Yeah.
And go on.
It was Mad Bird, wasn't it? Well,
So.
Okay. I don't want to tell it in the way the article tells it. Because they're very like, it was we were in a crisp white room and there were birds. You know, it's all like that in the way it's written. But this guy set up a fake company and convinced God, I don't know, a number of people that
50 more than 50.
Well, was it more than 50 or was it the Zoom call had more than 50 and not all of them were real? That's what yeah. So that this company was full of people. They should come along and be design people and make. I'm not even sure exactly what it was they were trying to do. Was it websites and web design and graphic design, that kind of thing? Maybe.
Yeah, digital. Basically, like being the digital PR company for major corporations. So they claim to be working for Comic Relief and a company whose name I've forgotten who owned that building, which I. Mm-hmm. You know, it's called like Wiz Khalifa or something. I know that's the
the Burj Khalifa.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah. So this company was like, doing the digital media marketing for these, and they had 50 people or some people employed, and the whole thing was just a sort of a con, I suppose.
It was a very digital, because we were talking about digital and digital identity last week in a certain way. I don't remember exactly what, but it was
in the Tinder swindler as well.
Yeah, the Tinder swindler and profiles and these phenomena that are exclusively possible thanks to digital media. What are we making faces for, man?
I just was surprised you knew the difference between phenomenon and phenomena, which I have never been able to wrap my head around, to be honest.
Well, it's plural and singular, I guess, isn't it?
So phenomenon is singular.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. You're helping me.
So these people, this guy had set up a number of fake profiles, fake LinkedIn's, fake just entire identities, but exclusively digital identities, which people are not particularly. People aren't very scrutinous when it comes to that kind of thing, are they? Still, if you see a profile picture, you see a few details on it, you're like, well, that's probably a real person. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, right.
And I suppose once you started picking up real people, once you've convinced one real person, then you can keep on. And and if you believe that some of your fake people are real themselves, which it sounds like you kind of did.
Yeah. And that's what he did, isn't it? That's exactly what he did. Yeah, he convinced somebody to and offered them a big amount of money to be a sort of second in command or whatever, and then that person started taking on some of the work, and then convince another person to do some jobs, and then everyone starts working, starts functioning like a company, even though
there was never any money, and there was never any money either. Yeah. But one person got paid £29.70 for some training they did outside of hours, outside of work hours.
But this is so interesting, this thing, because what wasn't clear in not only the article but the whole BBC documentary I wrote, SWP. Ooh. Anyway, documentary that I watched. I didn't write it. It wasn't clear whether he made any money. Like with the Tinder swindler, this was a guy living a lavish lifestyle who was, jet setting around the world, using the swindle money to pay for this kind of like clearly jet set lifestyle. More on jets later. But this guy was living in a normal house, and it wasn't clear that he'd actually made any money either.
No, I didn't really understand that part. What was he doing it for? Because then when he was pressed about it and questioned about it, he said, we were giving people hope in a time when they didn't have any, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call this. If I'm wrong, obviously I'm wrong. I think it'll come out that this was a fairly well-meaning company. Somebody that kind of, they made people. He clearly made up some people,
but he really thought he could get enough momentum to make it a real company.
I think he thought. Yeah, I think he probably thought he could trick his way to a successful company and then become
like there's a Netflix show that's just come out called Inventing Anne or Inventing Anna. I think it's Anne, about some US woman that sort of pretended to be a socialite to get backers and investors for something. I don't know. Right. And it's a real person. She's a real person, and it was in the last in the last 10 years she did that. Yeah.
I might check that out, because I think it's more like that. So maybe less interesting than, but like what I think we can offer, and why we wanted to talk about this, is because you were also talking, Ruben, to me about the Captain Tom Foundation story, which is now quite old, but obviously it was since we recorded last week. And that was interesting, wasn't it? Like, what happened with that?
So the Captain Tom is called the Captain Tom Foundation, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah.
So Captain Tom's daughter, correct, who is tried to install herself as the CEO of the Captain Tom Foundation on a salary of £150,000, and that was blocked by the Fair something's board. There's a board that and people. I saw a tweet which summed it up, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was, how are people surprised that a foundation which is based on more or less the exploitation of some old guy who's being used to turn the NHS into a charity? Who's surprised when then his daughter would turn out to be a piece of shit?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good take, actually. That Captain Tom was part of the erosion of the NHS, because it was part of a new culture of philanthropy, giving money to charity instead of having a state which. This is a communist point.
The way people I know who are most, not most conservative in the traditional sense of, being a conservative ideology, but most conservative in that they vote for the Conservative Party and they believe in what it represents. And that what it truly represents, and both what it pretends to represent. They believe in it, I think, simultaneously. They were the ones praising the Captain Tom thing the most. I'm sort of, what? Yeah. What do you not understand about the fact the NHS is fucked? What don't you understand about that?
Yeah, but that's exactly that. Let's go right back to the beginning with Captain Tom quickly. I do want to connect this all together, I suppose, but the Captain Tom thing to begin with was an extremely conservative thing. Firstly, he's an ancient war veteran, and there were lots of things saying the NHS thing was nationalised by the Tory party, and there was actually, and this is my favourite example of it, bunting, with those triangle things, there was some bunting that said clap for the NHS on one side, and then on the other side the British flag. And this is really important, because the NHS was suddenly being manipulated by the Tory party into this kind of militaristic pro-Britain thing. And Captain Tom, look, fair play to the guy. He tried to raise money for charity. I'm sure he's not an evil guy.
No, I'm sure he isn't.
He symbolises.
He was used.
Yeah, he was used by a conservative, and a government trying to bring British patriotism and the NHS together, and that's a fucking awful thing.
It's this,
but even worse than that is now people saying, this latest scam, whatever. Of course, if these are the people in your government, who give the people, we're reading an article saying, oh my God, Captain Tom's daughter tried to pay herself. They're all paying themselves. That is how our government works. And
and then it's crazy that people in Britain now, it's become this thing of the British celebration of the collectivization of our losses as a society, and that's we have to be like, yeah, we're all gonna tough it out because our governments routinely have fucked us. Yeah, we're gonna do that. They're not gonna suffer at all. No one up there is gonna suffer, but we will. It's a collectivization of losses.
And that's why you're reading the Queen. Even the Queen's working hard.
Yeah, she's got the
we're all in
COVID
this together. We're not all in this together.
We're not all in this together.
In it. We're in it, and they're not.
They're out of it.
They're not in it.
They're all off shagging kids and eating their fucking organs and shit with with the satanic cult.
Fucking parties in Downing Street, like it's absolutely insane.
I'm joining QAnon. I've had enough.
You know what? And that is a good comment, because what I wanted to say about this whole thing, talking before about is the Queen dead and QAnon, and now talking about like 3 examples we've got. We've got the example of the person who made a fake company. We've got the Tinder swindler that we talked about before, the Captain Somewhere. Like, why the fuck is everyone tricking everyone and everyone's getting scammed? Everyone's just getting scammed. And that's all the news can talk about now. Like someone scammed someone scammed someone else, scam here, scam there. The fact is, this is all just total distraction. We're all getting scammed and we're all getting lied to at the highest level. So yeah, sign up, everybody. Patreon.
Yep. Sign up. Give us your money. Everyone from Britain who's suffering more and more. More salary. Yeah, you might as well be scammed by us. Yeah, you get scammed by us.
That's fine. At least it's being spent on vodka and dandelion and burdock or Fanta mango instead of funding the dead Queen's Captain's Foundation or whatever it is. I did watch another documentary this week, which is sort of related to this conversation, though. I don't know if you've seen it, Ruben, but obviously the legend that is Louis Theroux did one about the far right in America.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that?
Yeah, I saw some bits from it. Yeah.
I thought it was shit. And I love Louis.
I wasn't able to watch it, by the way, because I wasn't able to watch it. By the way, I saw like 2 clips, but I can't watch it in Norway. Even if I put a VPN on to Britain, it won't let me.
I want to show this before I start slagging off Louis Theroux. I know we've got 1 minute, but I love Louis Theroux so much. Here's my favorite jacket. It's got a iron-on badge of Louis. And it says, I wasn't quite sure what I'd just seen, but I knew it was time for me to leave. And I always thought of him as this absolute star, really, going into these weird communities and just being able to sort of just reveal how weird and the thing I loved most about him was how sympathetic he was to people, whether they were murderers, right-wingers, Nazis, paedophiles.
Well, because he got an actual interesting reaction. He wasn't there to give condemnation like fucking everybody else usually does. No, he was there to find something out about them.
It was the opposite of that hyperbolic language that you read out on the Wikipedia page about QAnon, which is like, scumbag right-wing assholes do things on the internet.
And we don't quite understand it, and we're scared by
it. But Louis was always just brilliant at doing the opposite of that, showing people as people who have thoughts. But this latest one, I have to say, it was about the alt-right. It basically blamed, it featured Baked Alaska and that other guy, I've forgotten his name, that's quite famous. So it was stuff we already knew. It was boring. He didn't show anything weird. And his position was basically you guys have been corrupted by games and the internet. And it was dreadful to see.
Is he a puppet? He's a puppet. He's a puppet. He's a puppet of it all now.
He's the puppet of the opposite of the SWP. They are. It was sad to see, but we've run out of time. But that's my last thought on all of this documentaries.
I didn't get a chance to watch it because of the VPN. Well, just because you can't watch BBC shit in Norway, and I frankly didn't even care enough to watch it because I was just like, I don't want to fucking watch this. I'm not a Louis Theroux fan. I'm not anti Louis Theroux. I just don't really I see a clip and I'm like, okay, I've absorbed pretty much everything about you in that one clip. I don't need to watch anything else by you ever again.
I can see that. I mean, I suppose it shows that the difference in our generations, I suppose. But like I said, I mean, for me, Louis Theroux really was a sort of extremely influential person, and the way he did journalism was really important, I thought. because so much of what, exactly as you said, so much of what society vilifies as a monster, as completely not worthy of engagement, he would engage with and show the interesting, complicated side of. And that's something that I've always believed in, I suppose.
We seem to be in a time of doing quite the opposite of engaging with the other side.
Exactly. That is exactly it. And wouldn't this be the time for a 28-year-old Louis Theroux? It would, but it's not, unfortunately, the time for a 50-odd-year-old Louis Theroux who basically is a corporate shill. He's lost it. So that's that.
And before we go to the next one, I need to just I got to pour my drink. No point speaking while I'm trying to do this.
I'm pouring my drink and speaking at the same time live. So I'm obviously more talented than Ruben, which
I will beat the shit out of you.
I say what I like from 400 miles away, but in person I would not.
It's actually 1,000 miles away. It's 1,000 miles, so you're okay.
I would back down pretty quickly in a fight with Ruben. When you posted the tweet about whether the two of us could beat up Cristiano Ronaldo,
I reckon we could.
I was thinking that I could. I was thinking like it would be a case of like deploying you to your strength. So like I could be like the kind of like distraction of some kind, and I feel like I'd be quite. I think I'd be really bad at fighting, but hard, but quite. I would just carry on. I think even if I got
just keep getting hit, just like not falling over.
I could just like keep getting got by him, and then you could like focus on doing the real damage.
Right.
That's my idea.
And now I'm going to press start on the timer because we're into the third section and it's video games. But video games in no hugely directed sense. We got a few points. We sort of struggled for to find a fourth subject that we really, or to find a game subject that, I don't know, there's nothing too specific. There are a few things maybe we'll,
I think what we decided as well was that the third topic would always be games.
So I think we should stick to that because we said it.
Yeah, I think so. We formally should say that the third drink, beer, which is usually beer, is games. And even if there's no like game news we feel is really important, we'll just chat about games that week or whatever we've been playing or what.
Full disclosure to everyone that's been listening, hang on, let's get my sleeve out. I've got the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast.
I got
my second vaccine for anyone that's listening.
Like we've just lost about 50 followers.
Yep, that's
all of our anti-vax communities.
I've got it because I want to be able to get to England. All right. Do I necessarily agree with COVID passes and certificates? No, not in principle, but facts are I want to be able to do something. I don't fear for my life. I don't fear that. I feel like there is a statute of there's a limitation to, okay, yes, technology is about here. Now, is there technology that's about here that we don't know about? Yes, likely. Is it nanomachines in my vaccine that are going to control me? No, it fucking isn't. All right. So
no, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But and I also think on that point, on a more psychological level, you can only be anti something when you've done it. So I feel like now I'm anti the Labour Party because I've spent years doing that. I feel like the only way to be anti-vax, really and truly,
I'm anti-voting. All right, I'm anti-voting because since being 18, that was the first time the first time I could vote was the Ed Miliband election, and so I lined up perfectly with my 18th kind of birthday, and I voted in 3 elections and 1 referendum since then, and so that's only been nearly 7 years I've done all that in, and I don't think I want to vote again. That's where I'm at with it.
I might not vote again. I might not as well. I'm certainly gonna. I'm also quite. I like the idea of. I like the sort of spoiled ballots. At the end of every. When you watch that fucking. Basically, it's like Super Bowl but election night, and it's like sucking some idiot Jon Snow, or it's not Jon Snow.
He's
Jeremy Vine. It's Jeremy Vine. It's one of those idiots from the television saying things like, and we're going over to, for the results.
Stoke-on-Trent.
Yeah, it's probably not even a borough, but yeah. Anyway, and then they just say like, Labour 5 million, Conservatives 4 million, spoiled ballot papers 3. It's just like, it would be great if it was just one. We could just have a revolution that was based on the fact that like there was just more spoiled ballots than actual votes. That would really that would do the job. Anyway, listen, games. We are talking about games in every third drink. I'm feeling drunker actually because of the vodka.
I'm feeling drunker, or about as drunk, but less sick.
I feel more lively.
Yeah, I feel way more lively this way.
Talking more.
Yeah, this takes me back to sitting in someone's living room with a bottle of warm Coke and rum, probably.
A bottle of warm Coke nearly finished, and a bottle of warm vodka nearly finished.
Nearly finished. How much fucking vodka are you pouring in?
This was small. It's not nearly finished, but this is a 35 cl. So this should be. This whole thing is 7 drinks. So I've had.
Mine's 500 mils. I had a totally warped perception of how much mine
smaller. Mine's smaller than that. Mine would be 7.
This. Hang on. I thought this would be. This to me looks like it should have less than 500 mils in it. This looks smaller than that.
It looks. Yeah, does it?
Yeah.
Mine's long and thin. Mine's long and thin. And I meant my vodka bottle. But on games, you don't have much. But I do have one small thing. It's not an analytical point. I really am looking forward to this remake of a game. My first ever video game love was Theroux.
Yeah.
It's a sort of city builder. It's very similar to Civilization or Tropico, I guess, in its basis.
I do love Civilization.
Or it's a little bit like a halfway house between Civilization and SimCity.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Theroux. You're an Egyptian city builder, and it was announced this week that it's being remade. It'll be available on Steam. I don't know how long this remake is going to take. Depends on the funding structures, I guess. But it's a brilliant game, and it has that real lovely balance between like on SimCity where you're focusing on one small place and every single individual and how to look after them, and then there's Civilization with that really like zoomed out like world domination narrative,
which I love doing that. But that's
I like both, but Theroux is like sitting between, and it's something people should be excited about. Theroux remake on Steam. That's my point. What you got, Ruben?
What have I got? What I like, and this is something I'd forgotten about, and I'm surprised I forgot about it, but you've noted it, that Disco Elysium, a very good game that I've had on my wish list on Steam for a while, but it looks like a game. I don't want to buy it and then it's sit in my Steam library and I never play it. So I only want to buy it when I'm sure I'm going to play it. It's been one of those. Because it just looks like a game that you have to sort of, have some time to really sink into it.
It's an extremely important game, actually.
But it's anti-capitalist, is my understanding. It's anti-capitalism. But now Amazon are going to make the TV show for it or something.
This is my current Switch play, is Disco Elysium Final Cut, which has just been... I mean, Ruben, I honestly believe this will be your favourite game when you play this. So I've also been a late starter with Disco Elysium.
Mass Effect 2 is my favorite game, and that game has managed to beat out so many other games over the years. Mass Effect 2 keeps on toppling them. All right,
I was saying you're going to be in the top 3.
Yeah,
it's not very. It lacks a bit of dynamism. I think it's not so. There's not so many intense moments with the controller. But the storytelling is fantastic. It's one of the most important games. For a lot of reasons, it's anti-capitalist, it's queer, it's extremely interesting. It's just honestly, it's just so relatable as a critique of contemporary life. It's probably the most important of mainstream games in recent years that like has something to add to cultural discourse, to what we think and feel. But I was initially I had an interesting discussion with one of my PhD students about this, but I was initially pretty annoyed that Amazon have got the TV, because inevitably it's getting TV rights. So Amazon will be doing the TV series of Disco Elysium. I just think it'd be dry, but a PhD
capitalism is an infinitely plastic entity capable of absorbing anything. All right, you are right. There it is again.
There it is, Ruben's Mark Fisher. It'll soon be your own, Ruben. I mean, But I mean, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, so it's not a problem in itself that Amazon will be the producer of Disco Elysium. It's just another example of capitalist realism, that everything you make that's radical becomes absorbed, and Mark Fisher's own examples are Nirvana. Nirvana. Whatever. One of my favorite examples from 10 years ago was Hunger Games, which I read as a novel as a teenager and thought, this has actually taught me a lot about anti-capitalism. Then, next time I become aware of it, it's a major Hollywood three movies with Jennifer Lawrence, whatever. It was the highest grossing.
Not very good movies. Not very good.
One of them is interesting, but they're not. And so again, obviously this now happens with video games. Of course it does. No surprise that Disco Elysium was made by Amazon. But on the other hand, I don't know, I kind of thought we were through that period. I kind of thought maybe the people who own and run Disco Elysium, which I don't know actually about, wouldn't have done that, because it's so radical and interesting. And I would I don't know. Anyway, we do live in this world, obviously, where the most consumable thing is the radical product.
I'm just trying to see who it is that actually makes it. There's another game that I've been meaning to play, which I think has it has like it's a critique of the world, a critique of society, dare I say, called Cruelty Squad, which is a first-person shooter with like a really just horrid art style, but it's very striking. I don't know enough about the game to be able to say about it yet. It's called Cruelty Squad. It's like it's an immersive sim of sorts. I will play it and get back to people on it properly, but it's a surreal exploration of capitalism.
Oh, it looks really interesting. I really like the way it looks. Yeah. It looks really interesting.
And that's something that I want to actually I will play when it's next, when the Steam sale is next on, because I will play it.
You're going to play. You've got to have something to say about something to play.
Well, I just thought it was a note because I was trying to find out who the fuck made Disco Elysium. I wanted to know the name of the studio because it's just called ZA/UM. I don't know, like Zartum. I don't know what the.
No, I don't know.
Zaum.
What have you just been playing this week? Because I think we can also do this.
What have I been playing this week? Not a lot, really. I've been on a game called Ghost Recon Wildlands, which is a game in which US Special Forces members with, who can pretty much do whatever they want, go to Bolivia, which has been taken over by a drug cartel and is now a cartel state, to liberate the cartel state and make it just a normal, US government puppet state, I guess. Again, been playing that.
It sounds.
It's just a stealth co-op open world shooter, and it's quite fun.
It sounds like that. I think maybe what we could also do with this game's 15 minutes is see what games like people have been playing. Like if people want to put in the comments on YouTube and stuff, what games they would like us to comment on and what they've been playing, we could also do that. Yeah. One of the things I did this week was tried Ollie World. I don't know if you've heard of this, like a skating game. Yeah, because I was hoping the art style is beautiful, and I was really hoping it would be a little bit like Jet Set. One of my favorite games of all time, probably my actual number one game, is Jet Set Radio on the Dreamcast. And it's a graffiti game, but you're a kind of like, it's in that kind of skate culture mold, and to a certain extent, early Tony Hawk's is interesting, but it's not really interesting. I thought this would be more in the Jet Set Radio mold. But it's not. The art style is beautiful, really reminiscent of Jet Set Radio, but the actual challenges are more like, that game, I forget the name, but it came free on Xbox with Explosion Man. It's like BMX, it's like a bike game where you just got to land the fucking thing you just do a jump and land it.
It came with Explosion Man. Oh, I don't know.
When you got an Xbox 360, there was a 3-in-1 that came free. And it was Explosion Man, which is a fantastic game.
I know Explosion Man. I don't know.
And then there was it's a you would know if I said to you, because it's a massive game.
Yeah, I'm struggling now.
No, it's one of the biggest games. It's a classic. It's on mobile now and stuff as well. So I'm just being an idiot by forgetting. Anyway, with that game, so it's like land your BMX on the hill. That's all the game is really. So it's more like that. So Ollie World. sod it. It's not Jet Set Radio. Move on.
Okay. I wanted to find out what the game was called. And
I can find out.
All right. Well, what? I guess. Oh, what? Just Trials.
Trials.
Yeah, it was just Trials. Yeah, no, I don't know, because you said BMX, but Trials is dirt bikes, and so I was going to a completely different place with it.
No, sorry.
No, Trials is I quite like Trials though. Some of the stages are so hard I don't care, but I like Trials when it's at its more fun. Not
right. Well, Ollie Ollie World. If people like Trials, you're gonna love Ollie Ollie World. It's Trials with cool Jet Set Radio style artwork. If you like Jet Set Radio, you ain't gonna like it.
Well, I want to announce to the world then, since we have another 90 seconds, that today is the day. We're recording this on a Tuesday, 22nd of February 2022, so 2202-2022.
Oh shit.
And yeah. Shit.
That could be the
that
end of the world.
Destiny 2 Witch Queen big Destiny expansion. This is the first year that I've not bought the big Destiny expansion. I would like to proudly announce that after 7.5 years, I've finally just stopped. That's it. That's enough. No more Destiny 2. No more Destiny or Destiny 2. I will not be doing it anymore.
I can't believe it's 2-2-0. To be honest, I'm not even listening to you, Ruben.
Yeah, just exhausting.
Believe it's no. I mean, I'm interested in your love of Destiny,
but it is 2202.
2022.
Yeah,
that's the most. And this, well, I didn't know that, so it's not coming. It's coming.
That's not going to happen again for a long old time.
And we have conspiracy theory this. Okay, patrons are going to get my conspiracy theory about the date.
We already had. This is a pretty crazy one. 2202-2022. But yeah, I didn't get it, and it's out today, and everyone's playing it. And you know what? I'm not the meme of Squidward looking out the window and seeing SpongeBob and Patrick having fun. I feel right in my decision to not keep paying money to a game that charges you more and more every year and gives you less and less. Elden Ring out on Friday. Elden Ring, that's out on Friday. That's gonna be good. Woo! And we're at 15 minutes.
No, everybody, we're there. I think that's good. Game was good.
I keep forgetting to drink this.
Got to drink your mango shit. Get it down, yeah. No, the game section was good, everybody. That's here to stay. Even if we have that's not a prepared section in future. It's just a blank.
Well,
section.
unless there is something. Like it could be a prepared game section, but
it's a game section. Either there is some news that we respond to, or some listeners suggest something, or we just talk about what we've been playing that week. That's now the third drink, and then we get into the fourth drink, which is now live here.
This is it now
on the not live because nearly live.
Oh no, you can have this one. This is your thing.
Oh well, yeah. I mean,
you seem to love this.
I mean, I bloody love it. Right. So it's the fact that everyone was watching Big Jet Radio, which is a bloke who loves planes, and he sort of, I mean, it's not that fun, this topic actually. So get strapped in for some shit fun, but it's pretty good. I think it goes in an interesting way. Basically, what I want to say is Big Jet Radio. No, it's not called that. That's Jet Set Radio. It's called Big Jet TV. Because we're not in the 50s. Yeah. Now, on the day of that bloody storm, well, this is a talk about the British storm and the bloody storm that unites Britain for a day when there's a bloody bit of wind in the sky and everyone's suddenly like, right, we've got something to talk about. But a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of Brits tuning into this TV show on Big Jet TV, where basically this guy, I describe as a geezer, gets on top of his fucking van and drives down to Heathrow with a camera and basically fucking sits there in his van outside Heathrow watching his plane spotting, yeah. And when they come in, he says like, fucking go on, son, you can land this fucker, go on. And then he does it by nationality as well. So if there's a Russian plane, he goes, fucking Russians, the Russians are coming, can they do it? And the Chinese are coming, he's like, oh, can China land this baby? It's a big one. And then, he says, go on, son. And when they land it, he says, fair play, mate. Like, and I initially thought, this is nonsense. And I was basically at this time, I was in an airport stuck myself in Prague. And that wasn't the worst bit. The worst bit was being stuck in Stansted for 3 hours, trying to get back to home. And I was watching it and just thinking, this is the best thing I've seen in years. And he's brilliant, the guy. And there's just something so... Okay, let me put this to you, Ruben, as a proposition. We've said a lot of bad things about Britain in the last 3 drinks.
Yeah.
Now, the way Britain came together around a bloke on YouTube...
There's nothing quite like it. I don't think there's anything quite like.
Brilliant.
I don't think there's anything quite like. I do shit on Britain a lot, but I do always defend things like, well, socially, when it comes to socializing with each other, we're pretty good at it actually in Britain. Yeah. There is a sense of commonality between us, and that can quickly erode though if you say the wrong thing. But then there is this very like casual, and maybe it's shallow, but even if it is shallow, it's still fun when you're at the pub. It's like, you've got a pint, I've got a pint, we're at the pub. There's something between us. It's as simple as that a lot of the time.
Mate, that's what I would exactly say. Like, I had to, I'm the most cynical person who hates Britain, as all listeners who have bothered to listen would know. But this struck me as something, I can't criticize this. I think this is fine. And Britain is good at that. You're absolutely right. Like, what country have you been to where like there can be this kind of groundswell of like emotion towards something? And like, I get that.
I do have to quickly question: do we think this because the Americans aren't very good at doing it, and they are the only other nation which speaks English, and the Canadians, I guess, too. Maybe the French are really good at it. For example, I mean, I know that during like the World Cup, everyone gets. Every country gets pretty like into it, but we wouldn't know because we don't have access to it linguistically. We wouldn't know, and there'd be no reason for us to know.
I suppose what I want to say, Ruben, to that is, in America, the media controls what people think and feel, which is what we've been saying about Britain, and I know it's true.
Yeah, but every now and then something slips through. And it's a phenomenon.
Yeah, there is a Britain, and Big Jet TV. It showed that sort of just groundswell of sort of bloody hell. We are all in.
There is an ideal of a Britain. There is an ideal of a Britain, and if that Britain existed, I would never want to leave that ideal of a Britain. But that Britain doesn't exist, and so I have left that Britain to live in another country. But I can assure you that if Britain, I wouldn't want to leave because now I'm not there. I think about all these things. I'm like, fuck me. I do miss England, though. There are some things about it that I just really like.
Well, I mean, I think you were onto a good point, and maybe you could say a bit more. Like, when you compared, just a second ago, really, you compared this to people meeting in a pub and saying, "Have you got a pint? Me too," and this kind of sort of recognition between people.
Oh, you like Guinness? I love Guinness as well. It's like, well, that's terrific. We're friends now.
And has that not been your experience of other countries?
Well, to be fair, actually, when I've been in Italy, people have been very nice in bars and stuff. Obviously, the people in the place I was there, it was a mixture. It was mostly Italians, though, holidaying where I was. No English people at all. I didn't encounter another English person. We did spot a family of Danish people, and I think there were some Russians too. But the Italians that I met there were very nice. And when you're a paying customer as well, that's not always the case actually, because in some places people are very rude, even if you are a paying customer. But in the bars, they were very, very nice, and they were very just, people are just, oh, you're having a drink and everyone's having a nice time here at this bar. There's no reason to have any animosity between us. We may as well be kind to each other. I run this bar and you're drinking at this bar, and the transaction is working.
Yeah, right. And I think that was, I suppose this is what I really want to say, and it's really incomplete. Like, this Big Jet TV thing cut through Britain in an interesting way. So like, I was in Prague at the time and I was sort of felt, some friends were messaging me about it. I'd seen it trending on Twitter. I was kind of thinking, right, okay, this is something going on here with this storm. It's interesting. I'm gonna have to think about what this means and how that but immediately some of my cousins were tweeting about it, whether they are Tories, and then some friends messaged me who are definite socialists saying, "Oh, it's big." And I started thinking, "Oh, this is really interesting. How this moment's happened." And I think that this is what Britain has, and how Britain can be radical, is because there are certain empathetic things that kind of thread through a country, and maybe it's right back into history of being an island and leaving the EU. Maybe this is me recovering Lexit, because like the way in which Britain, I will say this, if Brexit hadn't happened, people wouldn't be watching Big Jet TV, and there are two reasons for that: because the right-wing Brexiteers love the fucking big planes that look like big cocks flying through the sky and shouting things like "Go on, son," and the lefties in the UK like it because there's some Britishness about it, something left that can be communal, that can be shared. And so, in a sense, there is still a possibility of making Brexit a left-wing communal Britain cause. That's good. That's good. That's the best thing I've said in years. So, what do you think? If you say it's shit, I'll be depressed.
I thought it was all right. I think there was some sort of a point in there. I was sort of fascinated by the fact that I just found my painkillers I was given from after my surgery. I didn't realize I had any left. I've got four very powerful paracetamol, codeine, sort of.
Are they called paracetamol?
They're called Altamol, unfortunately. But
what are the? Well, firstly, I just want to point out that I just explained how the right and left can unite around.
Yeah, no, I do agree, because when I think about my cousins who are sort of conservatives, I was talking about how I know people who are conservative in the sense of they vote conservative, but not that they are conservative, because the Conservative Party doesn't even represent conservatism as like a political movement anymore. Which, if it did, would be far more respectable, I guess. They would, they and I would disagree ideologically on a fair number of things, but we'd also agree on a lot of other things too, despite the fact that I would vote for someone else, or I wouldn't vote at all. But Big Jet TV would be something we could definitely rally behind. And I know that on a personal sense, I know there are lots of people that I would be able to Big Jet TV, get that on the TV. That'll be good. We'll just sit here and watch it.
Well, that's a great answer, I think, and not answer, but whatever it was. That's a great point. Response. A great a point that I totally missed, because these things are, I'm trying to make a sort of big picture here of saying like there's this, but like the fact that people across political boundaries can come together over things that are not the mainstream media, that's important. Like yeah, sure, the whole point of the Queen's speech in the history of the UK was that on Christmas Day, people would shut their fucking mouths and feel like I think they had something in common with their family. But actually, this is interesting. Big Jet TV is the new Queen's speech. How about that?
Fuck it. Yeah, Big Jet TV on Christmas Day this year, guys. That's the one. That's the one this year. I'll be in England for Christmas. I'll be watching Big Jet TV on Christmas Day with everybody else. I can't wait for the communal experience of being in England for Christmas again, because I'm going to say it, Norwegian Christmas, quite shit. All right, look, any Norwegian listeners, which we won't have, there are so few Norwegians and we have so few listeners that there won't be. Norwegian Christmas is just, it has nothing on an English Christmas. That's a terrific Christmas.
Well, are you still hungry after your dinner in Norway?
No, but after an English dinner, you're too full and you still have food left, and you know that you can look forward to it the next day. Whereas in Norway, it wasn't quite like that, and maybe that was who I was spending Christmas with. But yeah, I'm looking forward to spending it with my family and my friends in England this year, and going down the pub and getting fucking pissed up. That's going to be good.
You'll be here. Will you be here?
Yeah, I'll be in England. I'll be in England for Christmas.
Well, I'll be with you, and patrons and normal listeners can look forward to an in-person episode. Surely,
a Christmas episode. A festive episode.
Surely we will, Ruben.
Well, we'll find a way. I'd have to edit it, remember, as well.
Yeah, but we'll record it. We'll put it out later. But
we'll find a way.
Surely,
we'll find a way.
You're here.
Yeah. So, but that's ridiculous. We're straying from the topic, and I probably had something I actually wanted. I had something I probably wanted to say is about Big Jet TV and people coming together to for something. I don't know where I was going with it.
Big communist TV. Everyone feels good, and the planes land and capitalism is the subject, like the object. Capitalism is the object. We're watching capitalism happen. We're watching these corporate jets flying about the sky, land in these places. But communism is the subject, because what we're missing, what we love about this is we aren't on the plane flying around the fucking globe being impressed by Tinder swindlers, Instagram. We're impressed
sat
by
there in our living rooms.
Sat in the fucking room with
we're
me.
Sat in our living rooms with some beers, watching the planes land, just going like, listen,
for sure. This podcast has the best take on this topic, for sure, because that is what this is. It's people saying, I would rather feel affinity with whoever else is watching this than I would with what's on screen, and that's the media revolution, really. And
I kind of know where I was going, but the one thing that I have also found that I'm able to agree with people who would vote Conservative is that we are pretty anti sort of like the media, British media, pretty anti-British media in regards to you should either consume none of it or consume all of it. You need to either be you cannot form an allegiance to the fucking Guardian. If someone came to me and said, "Oh yeah, I'm a big Guardian fan," I just assume they're a fucking moron immediately. Like, I don't want to have a conversation. Oh, if they were like, "Oh, I love the Independent, I love the Telegraph," I'd be like, "Well, you're a fucking idiot then, aren't you?" And I would find them less interesting to speak to possibly than a reader of, say, The Sun. At least there's something that's very. But the Sun readers, there's like this division, or like Daily Mail, just tabloid readers. There's this division of, some of them are fucking idiots, but others are just like, oh yeah, I know it's shit.
Yeah, well, I don't think you should bracket the Sun and the Mirror together, though.
I don't know. They are tabloid. That's why I broadened it to tabloid.
Why do you think that? I think so. So this is what I think. Sun, right wing, Mirror, left wing. You're saying elitism means they're both shit. That's nonsense.
I just got to make sure I'm thinking of the right paper. The Mirror, Daily Mirror.
Yeah, Mirror.
Yeah, it is considered a tabloid widely, isn't it? Yeah,
it's a tabloid. It is a tabloid.
That's where I'm putting it. Then. That's what I'm putting in. It's a tabloid.
That's the left tabloid, and the Sun's the right tabloid. And then
is the Mirror a left tabloid?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, it definitely is.
Never really thought about it. I just sort of
Mirror was pro Corbyn. It did a lot of good clickbaity headlines about Corbyn and so on. So
I just lumped them all in together as tabloids.
No, you're one oughtn't to put the Mirror in with the Sun. But then on the other hand, I also wouldn't want to alienate Sun readers. Like, that's one of the things that's really interesting and important about the Mirror, is that it engages with readers of the Sun and readers of the Guardian. So it's like this kind of cross-platform. The Mirror is probably the only printed newspaper I think is worth anything in the UK now.
Really?
The rest, well, actually, the honest answer is there are no printed newspapers that's worth anything. But if there has to be one, it would be the Mirror. Anyway, everybody, we've run out of time. We're well over time. We're 7 minutes over time. We've had a concise and good episode, and we've got a lot more to talk about, I think. But that's only going to be for the £2 you need to spend to be a patron.
Yeah, you got to spend £2 to do
that. We're getting loads of patrons. We're getting more patrons. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, well, thanks for that. Because I haven't really been doing so well. I'm keeping up with it. I'm moving soon, and I've been pretty preoccupied with other stuff. Obviously, I still maintain the editing. And I still do the fucking thumbnails, and I do the fucking YouTube description. And I do fucking everything else. But
no one should feel Ruben's not pulling his weight. If anyone's not pulling their weight, it's me. But
you got to do more on Twitter. All right, Alfie's on charge of Twitter now. That's it.
All right. Well, okay, fair enough. I'm going to try and get us into some trouble on Twitter.
Yeah, do it. That's what I want. I want trouble on Twitter. I desperately want some trouble on Twitter.
Neville. Neville's just literally 1 second ago followed our Twitter. Welcome, Neville.
Thanks, Neville. Thanks, Nev. Appreciate
you. All right then. Good night to listeners. Thank you again, and see some of you in the Patreon in a minute.
Yeah. Bye.